Hello everyone, Weather Jamaica here. Welcome to this updated video on the weather across Jamaica and the rest of the Caribbean. It is Tuesday evening, April 15, 2025. Now before we jump into it, please ensure that you guys like the video. I'd really appreciate it if you guys get this video up to 100 likes. If you don't know by now, that's how the YouTube algorithm works. We all like the video and then the YouTube algorithm pushes the video out to more persons who are in the path of these tropical systems so that we can keep everyone safe, especially during the peak months of Atlantic hurricane season, that's August through to October. Share this video with your friends, your co-workers, your relatives, and even your church brethren, and subscribe if you haven't yet done so. Please ensure that you all utilize the progress bar that's located at the bottom of the video, as well as the timestamps that are located not only in the comment section but the video description, so that you can skip to the points in the video that you want to see the most in order to save time, because we know that the videos over here where the Jamaica can be very long. Leave a comment down below letting me know what the has been like in your year recently. Also feel free to ask any weather related question that you might have about the future of the weather in your specific area. Alright, so we're going to be looking at the US Climate Prediction Center's Global Tropics Hazards Outlook, considering that this latest update came out today, April 15, from the forecast to Kalu, if I'm not butchering that name. And they're highlighting the time period from April 23 to April 29, as well as April 30 to May 6. And considering that we're heading into May, definitely going to be wetter, considering that we're going into the secondary rainy season for us here in Jamaica. And it's very much showing what's expected and what we usually get this time of year. Rainfall, we can see Jamaica right here embedded in some slight shades of greens that we know from the key on the bottom represents at least a 50% chance of above average rainfall probability, and we also see it even increasing in intensity with the darker greens up to a 65% chance across portions of the central to the eastern Caribbean and across portion of northern South America. And we see something similar for the week of April 30 to May 6. It's gonna be interesting to see how it all plays out. We definitely have to be on our P's and Q's, because flooding is going to be very easy to take place as we head into the secondary rainy season. We know the primary rainy season is in September, October, thereabout. Either way, we know that whatever the US Climate Prediction Center usually shows on these global tropics hazard outlook are at 100% set in stone, so we have to take these forecasts with a grain of salt. Taking a look at the US Climate the Euro and the GFS supercomputer model runs that came out today. As usual, we're going to be focusing our attention on the timestamp right here at the top as we go out to the next 168 hours, that's the next 7 days. And we're going to be focusing our attention on Jamaica right here as we look for all of this that we see on the key on the right. That's the yellows, the oranges, the reds, and the greens that represents inches of rainfall. So let's see what's going to be taking place. As we head into Wednesday morning, we don't really see much of anything on the Euro model. 7 a.m. is, well, 12Z is actually 7 a.m. on Wednesday. We don't see much. We see some moisture to our southeast. We see some moisture across eastern Cuba, the southern Bahamas, Hispaniola, portions of Central America. And by Wednesday afternoon, now that's when we start to see some of that rainfall across eastern, southern, and western parishes. Let's see if we have the consensus on the GFS. Wednesday morning, just like what the Euro was showing, not much of anything across Jamaica. More of that rainfall to our east, across Hispaniola, southern Bahamas, Turks and Caicos, as well as to our west, across portions of Central America. Then it's Wednesday afternoon, just like what the Euro was showing, that we start to see some rainfall across sections of some eastern, southern, and western parishes. Let's see what Thursday has in store for us. On Thursday morning, we see some rainfall across the northeast. Then on Thursday afternoon, we see rainfall across eastern, central, and western parishes. Let us see what the latest GFS is showing. Thursday morning, just like the Euro, rainfall across the northeast. Then Thursday afternoon, more so rainfall still across the northeast. Then later on Thursday afternoon, we see some isolated showers across sections of some southern and eastern parishes. Very interesting. Let us see what Friday has in store for us according to the latest Euro. Not seeing much across Jamaica. Then on Friday afternoon, still not seeing much of anything in terms of rainfall. Let us see what the GFS is showing for Friday morning. Northeastern parishes getting in on that rainfall, so we have some differences there. And then on Friday afternoon, we still see that rainfall across the northeast according to the latest GFS. Nothing on the Euro, but something on the GFS for Friday. Very interesting. Let us see what Saturday morning has in store for us. Some rainfall across the northeast, that's Portland once again. And then Saturday afternoon has that rainfall across sections of some southern parishes. Let us see what the latest GFS is showing for the same time period. Saturday morning, the northeast getting in on that rainfall. Saturday afternoon, rainfall across sections of some central and western parishes. Very interesting. Let us see what Sunday morning has in store for us. Sunday morning, still northeastern Jamaica with that morning rainfall. Sunday afternoon, rainfall across eastern, central, and western parishes. What does the latest GFS show? Sunday morning, rainfall to our west, rainfall to our east and to our north. Then on Sunday afternoon, we see that rainfall across central and western parishes, just like what the Euro was showing. Then we're going into Monday morning now. We see rainfall across the eastern section of the island. Monday afternoon has that rainfall across eastern, central, and western parishes. And we're stopping it right here at the end of the 168 hours, which is valid for Tuesday at 7 a.m. We're talking about April 22, 2025. We see some rainfall across the eastern end. What does the GFS show for the same time periods? First of all, Monday morning has that rainfall to our west, to our east. Then on Monday afternoon, we see that rainfall more so across eastern, northern, and western parishes. And then we're stopping it at the end of the 168 hours. And we see some rainfall, some isolated showers across eastern, central, and western parishes. It's going to be very interesting to see how it all plays out. The Euro was showing by the end of the 168 hours some rainfall across the eastern end of the island. GFS showing that, but it's also incorporating portions of central western Jamaica. It's going to be interesting to see how all of this plays out over the next 7 days. And regarding the total accumulated precipitation forecast, we still see how colorful this map from the Euro and this map from the GFS is. We know that both of them are showing all the rainfall that's expected from now up until Tuesday, April 22. And we know the greens into the yellows, into the oranges and the reds represents anywhere from 0.1 of an inch of rainfall up to an inch or more of rainfall. And that's definitely going to be for a portion of the Bahamas, northern Cuba, the Yucatan Peninsula, Belize, Guatemala, El Salvador, much of Honduras, Nicaragua, sections of the ABC Islands, sections of eastern Cuba, the southern Bahamas, Turks and Caicos, Puerto Rico, the US and British Virgin Islands, much of the Leeward and Windward Islands, as well as Trinidad and Tobago. And we see that on both the Euro and the GFS. But clearly the most rainfall over the next 7 days should be wherever we have the dark reds into the purples, into the pinks. And we know the dark reds that go into the purples and the pinks represent what we see here on the key on the right. That's the 2 all the way up to 5 inches of a rainfall, which could trigger somewhat of isolated flash flooding. And that's going to be expected across portion of northern South America. We're talking about Guyana, Suriname, French Guiana, southern and western Venezuela, Colombia, Panama, sections of eastern Costa Rica and Nicaragua, sections of northeastern Jamaica. We also see that rainfall across eastern Cuba and much of Hispaniola, as well as portions of Puerto Rico. And we see that it is not only the GFS here that's showing this, but even the Euro model that's showing something similar. So we just hope that the people are being on the alert just in case they are affected by somewhat of isolated flash flooding. We saw Jamaica got in on our fair share of flooding today, and there could be more on Wednesday, considering that the ground is already saturated with the rainfall from today. Alright, so regarding Jamaica's total accumulated precipitation forecast over the next 7 days, we're starting to see some agreement with the total amount of rainfall expected. Both maps here from the Euro and the GFS are adamant that the most rainfall should be across sections of Portland and St. Mary, where the Euro has up to 81 millimeters of rainfall expected. The GFS going up to 74 millimeters of rainfall. And we know that most of this rainfall is going to be during the morning when we have that relief rainfall from the northeast with that northeasterly flow. And we can clearly see the rest of the island embedded in the greens and the yellows that represent what we see here on the key on the bottom, anywhere from 15 millimeters all the way up to at least 50 millimeters of rainfall. And we know that most of this rainfall across the rest of the island would be expected during the afternoon hours. It's going to be interesting to see how it all plays out, and I will definitely be here to keep you posted with what occurs, so stay tuned on our other social media platforms. Taking a look at the surface map of the Atlantic for this evening, we can see the blue spike line right here across the southeastern US associated with the frontal system, a trough right here across the northern Bahamas and eastern Florida. We can also see a ridge of high pressure right here to the north of the eastern Caribbean, another ridge of high pressure right here to the northwest of the Cabo Verde Islands, and we see this blue spike line right here extending all the way down to portions of the northern Caribbean associated with a frontal system. We know the ridges of high pressure are responsible for sending all of the easterly trade winds across the main development region into the Caribbean, and we can make out the broken orange lines right here associated with a trough across the western Caribbean, now affecting portions of Central America. And if we take a look at the visible satellite images of the Atlantic before we lost the sunlight, we can make out all of the entities that we just mentioned. First of all, the clouds associated with the frontal system, that's right here off the southeastern portion of the US. We see the clouds associated with the trough currently affecting portions of the northern Bahamas, the clouds associated with the other trough that has been lashing portions of Central America, and some of the clouds even still being blown out towards the northeast by that upper level wind shear and trailing into portions of Jamaica today. We see the clouds associated with that frontal system extending down to the north or into the northern Caribbean, affecting portions of Puerto Rico and Hispaniola as we speak. And we can see the low level flow of the clouds being steered from east to west, all courtesy of the ridge of high pressure to the north. We'll be talking more about the rest of the Caribbean a little later on. Let us focus your attention on the prediction that was made in yesterday's video about the weather across Jamaica for today, Tuesday, April 15, 2025. It was stated that rainfall would have been in the forecast of parts of northern Jamaica on Tuesday morning, also affecting sections of some eastern, central, and western parishes during Tuesday afternoon. And we know northern Jamaica, we're talking about those parishes on top, like Hanover, St. James, Trelawney, St. Anne, St. Mary, Portland, while eastern parishes, and we're talking about those parishes in the county of Surrey, like Portland, St. Thomas, Kingston, St. Andrew. Central parishes, we're talking about those parishes in the county of Middlesex, like St. Anne, St. Mary, Manchester, Clarendon, and St. Catherine. While western parishes, we're talking about those parishes in the county of Cornwall, like Hanover, St. James, Trelawney, Westmoreland, and St. Elizabeth. And what ended up happening? At around 7:17 a.m., the Guantanamo Bay Cuban naval radar imagery was posted on our Twitter page at Weather Jamaica, as well as on our Instagram page at weather.jamaica, on our TikTok page at Weather Jamaica, and on our Facebook page at Weather Jamaica 876. So if you have one of those social media platforms, please ensure that you follow us there, as we make posts throughout the day that you can't afford to miss. So the Guantanamo Bay Cuban naval radar imagery only goes as far as Portland. We wish we could see the rest of the island, but at that time, 7:17 a.m., we were definitely getting in on some moderate to some light rainfall, if not more, across sections of the north. Unfortunately, only Portland was visible because of the range of this radar. Wish it was wider, or we wish that we had the Jamaican Doppler radar to show, but we definitely got some rainfall in the morning across section of Portland, spilling into section of St. Mary, spilling even into section of some southern parishes. And then at around 12:05 p.m. in the early afternoon, the visible satellite images were posted, and they highlighted the vast amount of clouds across the entire island, from the eastern end to the western end, and we can see the sparkling white dots in there across, especially northern Jamaica, that we know represents some amount of lightning strikes, if not lightning flashes, to signal that we've been getting in on some amount of thunderstorm activity for sure across section of the island today. That definitely brought some amount of flooding. It's been taking place all morning into the early afternoon, as we can see right there. Then at around 2:15 p.m. the infrared close-up satellite imagery was posted, and it definitely confirmed the cumulonimbus clouds in the greens, yellows, oranges, even the reds right here to the east of St. Thomas at that time. Definitely had some thunderstorm, definitely had some showers almost everywhere across the island. Not everywhere got rainfall, some areas than others, and we can see the clouds still bringing the thunderstorms at that time, especially to sections of Portland, St. Mary, section of St. Anne, Trelawney, Hanover. Some of this thunderstorm right here out to sea pushed into section of St. Thomas as well. Definitely got some amount of rainfall across section of the island today, and the visible satellite images of Jamaica before we lost the sunlight confirms it. Look at the blanket of clouds all across the entire island. Upper level clouds being sheared off from west to east, all courtesy of that upper level wind shear that we mentioned. And even while we're losing the sunlight, we're seeing some deep convection right here off to our southeast. Let's see what's happening on the infrared. Infrared confirming that thunderstorm activity off to our southeast, just right here to the south of St. Thomas. You can also see some thunderstorms right here to the south of St. Catherine, but we still have some amount of cloud cover across the island. We can see most of these clouds being shrieked off towards the east northeast by that upper level wind shear, but we're going to be talking more about what's happening across Jamaica shortly. Before we do that, let us see what took place on the halfway tree live camera today. This was at around 2:09 p.m. You can see some people walking with their umbrella. You can also see people in their vehicles going about their business with their windshield wipers on to signal that we're indeed getting on some amount of light to moderate rainfall at that time. The streets are soaking wet as well. So we definitely had some rainfall across section of the corporate area today, and I would like for you to keep in mind that if you'd like to see more live streams like this, just visit See Jamaica on YouTube. They have these live streams for your viewing pleasure, and they're planning on increasing the amount of cameras that they have in and around the island. They already have Crossroads, the Bagwalk Gorge, so subscribe today so that you don't miss out. Taking a look at the total accumulated precipitation for the past 24 hours from the Caribbean Institute for Meteorology and Hydrology website. This map isn't 100% accurate because we definitely had some rainfall in section of St. Thomas today, and look at this, St. Thomas is in the whites that represent little to no rainfall at all. So we know that it isn't 100% accurate, but it paints quite the picture of where we might have had that rainfall, especially across section of Portland, St. Ann and St. Mary, section of Central and Western Jamaica as well, for sure. And we definitely have confirmation of the inundation that took place today. Definitely had some flooding. We have the Jamaica Gleaners Twitter page here highlighting a video showing that we indeed got some amount of flooding, stating here heavy rain triggers flooding in Outages. We can see the cars moving through the maybe 6 inches or more of water. Boy, this is what we spoke about last week. We predicted this last week, and we spoke about the fact that although the water doesn't look high enough, this is enough to stall vehicles out. And then when the vehicles are stalled out and the rainfall gets even worse, and then it makes the water rush somewhere, that's when your vehicle is taken away. Sometimes you are unable to even pull the door given the force of the water, and that's how people lose their life. We've been talking about this, guys. Turn around, don't drown, because it's best to let the rain run off and then have the water recede or whatever the case may be than to lose your life. So that was just one video from the Jamaica Gleaner. We also have some videos here from the National Works Agency stating river in spate. The National Works Agency is advising the main road from Buff Bay to Whitehall in Portland is now impassable. The road is blocked in the community of Craig Mill, where the river is now in spate, resulting from heavy rains. And they've stated here, showing the video of the river that they're mentioning in Craig Mill, showing the river water going onto the road, definitely making it impossible. And they also highlighted the very same video from the Jamaica Gleaner, showing that they were definitely getting on some amount of flooding across sections of Outages. And they made a few updates in the past hour or two, stating access is now restored to Craig Mill following heavy rainfall in Portland. And they've also stated that the Hermitage roadway, previously impossible due to a landslide, is now accessible. Let us see if they have any more updates as of now. Okay, no more updates. Very good. So keep in mind that if you aren't already following the National Works Agency, you need to do that, because they give some very good updates regarding where and when the flooding is taking place, for sure. Alright, so we're going to be looking at some of the comments that came in from some of our followers as well as some of our subscribers today. We had Herma King 9253 stating rain in St. Thomas. I can confirm that for sure. We have Rich Kid JJ stating rain. Let's see, we have Michael Masters 8479 stating heavy rain, North St. Catherine. We also have Billy Turner 7426 stating Northwest St. Elizabeth, Newmarket area, heavy rain. We also have Bob Brown 3953, heavy rain in St. Mary. We have Active 4081 stating rain a fall here and lightning a flash. Where is here Active? Let us know the parish, please. We also have Devon Wright 5345 stating I'm in Sydenham, Spanish Town, St. Catherine. And what's the weather like there, Mr. Right? Let us know. We have Mahalia Williams 1749 stating raining in Montego Bay right now and I'm loving it. Let's see, we have Youth Silvera 1179 stating lots and lots of rain in Hope Bay area of Portland. We have Devon Wright 5345 stating we're getting some slight dew at this time. What's the parish? We also have O'Neill Humble stating it's falling on and off. Where is it falling on and off? O'Neill, let us know the parish. And even on yesterday's video we had Danica McLennan GW 3KK stating good morning with the Jamaica. Good morning, but you posted it an hour ago, so I guess you should have said good evening or good afternoon, but no problem. Stating here, Linstead rain and wind is very bad. My sports day was almost finished, but the rain ruined it and didn't get to run when I was to about to, I guess you're trying to say, boy, these things can happen. I don't know why these things are planned so far in advance and they don't know what the weather conditions are gonna be like, but that's just how it goes. I remember in college we had a whole sports day planned and that was washed out. So these things happen. We also have on our Twitter page Colleen Lowe, we're having some flooding in Hope Bay, Black Hill and a bit in Orange Bay. Boy, I hope it's not too serious to cause loss of life. We have Chelsea stating rain like crazy in Ochi. We have Pest Genus, drenching thunder showers in my ear with gusty winds. Even on our Facebook page, we had the comments coming in. We had Roxanne Campbell stating raining heavily in Trelawney. Latoya Taylor, run sunny on and off in St. Elizabeth where I am. We have Lakeisha Morgan stating raining in Montego Bay. Maureen Vincent, torrential rain here in the east. Where is that? Is that Portland? Is that St. Thomas? Let us know. We have Verona Burke stating raining in Ocho Rios. Sexy Tommy Chin stating raining in Westmoreland. We also have Miriam Edwards stating raining in Clarendon. Joshua Botham raining in St. Catherine. Bronette James raining in St. James. Soldier Boy Willie St. Mary a wash when no normal. Shirley Mills raining. Selena Winter Morgan heavy rain here in Westmoreland. We have Sean Connelly stating raining in Falmouth. Dania S. Blake stating raining all day here in Westmoreland. Charlene Mittigray stating raining in Betheltown, Westmoreland. Tyrona Buchanan Rose stating raining or rain in St. Elizabeth. Tamaliba, it's raining really hard here in Port Antonio. Roads are also blocked and impossible in Buff Bay. We have Latoya Smith raining in Westmoreland. Cheryl Dixon James raining in Priory, St. Anne. Nadine Blair raining cats and dogs. Where? We have Lorna Lindo raining here in Highgate. Bridget Hemmings raining heavily in St. Anne's Bay. Shaker Davis, lots of it, man. Kevin James raining in 9 Mile, St. Anne. We also have Sylvia Bando stating continuous rain and thunderstorm in Brownstone, St. Anne. At one point, a very strong wind last night. We have Claudette Hay rain heavy in Montego Bay. Kay Watto raining cats and dogs and a few rats in Montego Bay. We also have Verona Burke rain in Ocho Rios. Lance Brown sky dark. Sonia Smith raining since 12 p.m. in Cambridge, St. James. And we have some comments here finally from our Instagram page now, although we can't read all of them. We have Rose Anise, if I'm not butchering your name, stating St. Anna and St. Mary Washway. T.43 washing away. Need a boat to be honest. We have Javibs or J Vibes _1_law_Silvera stating rain. St. Mary from Thursday till now. We have Well Affordable stating rain in Guys Hill, St. Catherine. We have another comment right here from Kayla underscore Aquarius underscore February underscore 1. Rain in Redwood, St. Catherine, Momo underscore LJ Mom. We cannot escape, we cannot come out. We also have another comment here from TV24, St. Mary, a Washway, the weekend living, finally some rain. Where is that? Is that Kingston? We have Ryan stating raining in Hanover, few thunder rolling. We have the Leo Girl 27, constant heavy rain in St. Anne's Bay. We had Trina 0.1, rainfall harder Old Harbor Road. We have Kadija, rain in Kingston. We have Kiki underscore mommy stating rain in St. Thomas. And I thank you all for the comments. This is the most comments I have read since the year began, because this is the most rainfall that we got since the year began. As you know, since January it's been the dry season. So I guess we can say that April 15 really brought the drought busting rainfall for sure for majority of the island all at once. And we're indeed grateful because we need the rainfall to keep the water in our pipes, as long as it's not a lot of rainfall all at once to cause loss of life. Can't take that at all. Alright, so let us reload the very latest still image from the Weather Nerds website. Let us see what's happening right now. And the very latest still image is showing 0045 UTC, which is actually 7:45 p.m. And given that it's 8 p.m. right now, this image just came out 15 minutes ago. And what do we see? Yes, we can see the grays and the blues and the greens all across the island that represent cloud cover. Sure, if you go out right now, you don't see stars or the moon if it's out. But we can definitely see some sparkling white dots right here that represent the thunderstorm activity. We see to the south of Clarendon, to the south of St. Catherine, and we see to the east of St. Thomas. So there could be some thunder showers out to sea. Who knows, maybe some of this might linger and come onshore. Let's see what unfolds. Will we be getting some lingering rainfall? Only God knows. Let us see what's happening on the latest Doppler radar imagery. Unfortunately, the Cuban Doppler radar still glitched out at April 12. Today is April 15. Still don't have the Met Service radar to show. Let us see if it is even back out yet. Let's see if Met Service radar is back up and running yet. I always have to check to see, and I'm always checking with you guys. So let's see if it's up and running. So we go to medservice.gov.jm, then click on radar imagery, and still nothing. But thankfully we have the Guantanamo Bay Cuban naval radar imagery right here. You know that there's a Navy base somewhere down there from the United States in Guantanamo, where they have the prison, the US prison. And what do we see right now? Let's animate this imagery. We see the blues, we see the greens, we see the yellows that represent light to moderate to some heavy rainfalls. We can see from the key here on the right. We can see some rainfall across sectional southeastern Cuba. We can see the rainfall extending from Jamaica all the way across the waters between Jamaica and the western peninsula of Haiti. Haiti also getting in on their fair share of moderate to heavy rainfall as we speak. And we see that section of eastern Jamaica definitely getting in on some rainfall. We wish this Doppler radar was wide enough so that we could see the entire island and where the rainfall is located. Hold on. I think it's actually raining outside. I think I can hear it raining outside at my place right now. Alright, let's see what's happening right now. According to the live camera from See Jamaica's YouTube channel. There we have a coaster bus crossing the bridge, and the river is definitely in spate. Look at it rushing, and the water is murky. Just to highlight that we've been getting in on some amount of rainfall today. We know usually for the past couple of weeks the water has been still, the water has been green, but now it's very murky for sure. And boy, we just hope that it doesn't get up all the way up to the bridge, and we just hope that we don't get any more accidents. Hopefully something is done. I don't know if they have to put some more lights, maybe some cones out there, whatever the case may be. We know that they can be washed away or whatever, but you know, something, because I don't know, it's like there's really a curse out there. I don't even like to talk about it. But there we go, the flat bridge. If you'd like to see more live streams like this, visit See Jamaica's YouTube channel. They have these live streams for your viewing pleasure. Just go on YouTube and type in See Jamaica. Alright, so moving on. Let us take a look at the temperatures right now. We can see we have 25 degrees Celsius in Montego Bay, 24 degrees Celsius in Kingston, and by about 4 a.m. on Wednesday, temperature should dip down to about 24 degrees Celsius in Montego Bay, 23 degrees Celsius in Kingston. Taking a look at the temperature forecast for tomorrow. This map from the GFS is valid for 18th on Wednesday, which is actually 1 p.m. on Wednesday. And we can see Jamaica right here embedded in the grays that we know represents 0. That's average temperatures. And we know the average temperature for the month of April across Jamaica is around 88 degrees Fahrenheit. And when that's converted to degrees Celsius that we use here in Jamaica, that's around 31.1 degrees Celsius. So that should be the temperature forecast for Jamaica on Wednesday. And if you're going to be in these areas tomorrow, just know that my JPS Online team on Twitter has highlighted that there are going to be some maintenance outages for these areas. We know that we have to highlight these outages because know that when we have these outages, they can definitely make the heat feel even worse because we don't have our fan or AC to cool us down. So if you live or work in these areas, or if you have friends or relatives who live or work in these areas, let them know that a power outage is coming their way on Wednesday, April 16, 2025. And we're referring to Ballards Valley, Bloomfield Town, Woodside, and Trial, I don't know if I'm butchering that name, all in the parish of St. Elizabeth from 6:30 a.m. to 7 p.m. We're also talking about Charlton to 9 miles, Wilston Shop, Stepney 9 miles, Green Park, Higginland, Murray Mountain, and roads leading off, all in the parish of St. Anne from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. We're also talking about Irie Lane, Lilliput, all in the parish of St. James from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. Planters Road in St. Catherine, 8:30 a.m. to 6:30 p.m. Rock Hall and Mount Pleasant, as well as Cooper's Hill, as well as Durham in the parish of Portland from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. And we have some tips right here to beat the heat as usual. It states here, dress down, wear lightweight clothing and use sunscreen. Check on others, including children, elderly people with medical conditions and pets. Be cool, stay indoors, and make use of fans and air conditioners. Avoid alcohol and caffeine as they can make dehydration worse. Limit non-essential, strenuous activity during the hottest parts of the day. And I cannot stress enough the importance of staying hydrated throughout the day. Drink lots of water even if you're not thirsty, and put away those sugar drinks and drink water instead. As stated, the dry air map is showing that we have a lot of moist air across portions of the Greater Antilles, where we see the blues, the greys that represent cloud cover, and the yellows that represent the low end of the scale in terms of dry air, as we can see here from the key on the bottom. You know, the dry air is represented by the yellows, the oranges, the reds, and the whites within those reds. We can see the abundance of dry air of the east coast of the US, across the Gulf, across the waters to the northwest of Africa, and we see the abundance of moist air across the intertropical convergence zone of the Atlantic, as well as the intertropical convergence zone of the Eastern Pacific. And we want the moist air because we know that the moist air brings rainfall, and we want the rainfall to keep the water in our pipes for sure. But regarding the Saharan dust forecast for 18 UTC on Wednesday, that's 1 p.m. on Wednesday, we can see the Saharan dust entrailing all the way from Africa across the main Devoma region, across the southern Caribbean to northern South America right here. But it's only representing anywhere from a 1 all the way up to maybe at least a 33 intensity, especially right here closer to Africa, in terms of the dust concentration. And we're also glad that here across Jamaica, as well as the Greater Antilles, the US, Central America, we're not receiving much in the way of Saharan dust at all, definitely in the clear. And we're also grateful that the brunt of the Saharan dust, as you can see by the darker shades of browns, are remaining across Africa, Asia, and Europe, because know that that means the very hazy skies that it can bring, not to mention trigger some amount of respiratory illnesses in some person. So we're indeed grateful that this is the forecast for 1 p.m. on Wednesday in terms of the Saharan dust, in terms of good news for us here in Jamaica. Regarding the wave forecast for tomorrow, we can clearly see that the highest waves should be right here to the south of Mexico, the waters to the south of Jamaica, the waters to the far east of the Caribbean, wherever we have the purples into the pinks that represent anywhere from 2 to 3 meter wave heights. While wherever we have the light shades of blues to dark shades of blues, that represents what we see here on the key on the bottom right, anywhere from 0.5 meter wave height all the way up to 1.5 meter wave height. And if we zoom in on Jamaica regarding our wave forecast, on the north coast tomorrow up to 0.9 of a meter wave height, south coast up to at least, let's see, will it load south coast for me? Well, 1.4 meter wave height here to the south of St. Thomas, 1 meter wave height right here to the southwest of St. Elizabeth, and that's because of the winds that are expected. Look at the flow of the winds from the northeast across the eastern Gulf, curving westward and then northward into the Texas and northeastern Mexico area. More of a northeasterly flow across the western Caribbean, across Jamaica tomorrow. More of an east-southeasterly flow across the eastern Caribbean, curving westward and then curving southwestward in the southwestern Caribbean. And we see the colors that represent the dull greens into the bright greens into the yellows that represents anywhere from 10 to 15 to 20 knots, maybe even gusting to 25 knots wherever we have the yellows. That's here to the south of Jamaica, which explains why the waves are going to be so high to the north of Colombia to the south of Jamaica. But regarding Jamaica's wind forecast tomorrow, we see the wind should be coming in from the northeast tomorrow, and we see the dull greens as well, so definitely less than 10 knots on the north coast, 9 knots to be exact. South coast, especially right here to the south of St. Thomas, up to 15 knots. And we also see that the air is going to be piling up wherever we have the least amount of winds, wherever we have the blues. We see that the air is going to be piling up across the southern portion of the island. So that's where we could have all of those clouds building. Then we have that daytime heating convection across section of southern Jamaica. And who knows, maybe we might just get in on some morning rainfall with that northeasterly flow. Even although the models aren't showing the morning rainfall, it's still definitely possible. We'll see how that plays out. And the upper level winds going to be coming in according to this map, which is showing 1 p.m. on Wednesday, coming in from the west, if not the west northwest tomorrow. So it's not going to be like today, where when we looked at the clouds, they seem to be coming in more so from the west or from the west southwest. It's going to be more so from the, let's say, let me do that again, from the west northwest. So maybe it could favor some of those clouds across section of some southern parishes even more. And as stated, the rainfall forecast maps were not showing rainfall for the morning hours, but they're definitely showing rainfall for the afternoon hours. This is 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is actually 3 p.m. Jamaica time on both the year and the GFS models. And look at the abundance of rainfall that's expected, and look at where they're expected. First of all, the blues into the greens. Even the greens are represented from 4 to 7 millimeters of rainfall expected for a section of St. Elizabeth, Manchester, Clarendon. And we see the blues that represent rainfall across section of maybe St. Thomas, Kingston, St. Andrew, St. Catherine, section of maybe Westmoreland. And we're looking for the consensus, and we see that on the GFS for these very southern parishes. So we could definitely get on some rainfall across section of Westmoreland, St. Elizabeth, Manchester, Clarendon, St. Catherine, Kingston, St. Andrew, maybe section of St. Thomas. Know your southern parish, know where you're located. There could be some isolated afternoon rainfall for you on the south coast tomorrow. And even the total accumulated precipitation forecast maps from the ERA and the GFS are showing that it's going to be raining somewhere within the next 24 hours. If it's not already taking place right now, it's going to be expected within the next 24 hours. And the thing is, we're still being affected by a trough. So these forecasts, as stated, have to be taken with a grain of salt. Although they are forecasting nothing for Wednesday morning right now, there could be rainfall on Wednesday morning. Although they're forecasting nothing for the north coast during the afternoon, there still could be rainfall on the north coast. Either way, the total accumulated precipitation forecast maps are showing rainfall. We see up to 1.04 inches right here across the southwest, 1.08 across section of Kingston according to the latest Euro. The latest GFS still adamant that the north coast is going to be receiving the most rainfall. I don't know how that's possible unless it's showing that rainfall that's taking place now and what's expected maybe later tonight. I don't know. We see 1.41 inches of rainfall across St. James, 1.63 across Trelawney, 1.49 across section of St. Mary Portland. We'll see how that plays out, and we'll definitely take it because we're in the month of April. We're starting to, back away from that dry period, January, February, March, starting to rise up on the bar graphs. In Kingston, whose bar graph is being shown right here at the top, we usually receive close to 40 millimeters of rainfall for the month of April. In Montego Bay, whose bar graph is being shown right here at the bottom, we usually receive close to 4 inches of rainfall for the month of April. And I'd like for you to keep in mind that if you'd like to find out that your specific parish usually receives in terms of rainfall for the month of April for the entire year, you can visit weatherandclimate.com and that website to show that information. And you can use this nice graphic right here that converts rainfall from inches to millimeters. You know that 1 inch of rainfall is about the same as 25 millimeters of rainfall, so you can do the calculations yourself. Alright, so that's it for the forecast across Jamaica. Let us focus our attention on the rest of the Caribbean. So as stated, we have that string of moisture pushing into the Jamaica area, which explains all of the rainfall that we've been experiencing, especially across eastern Jamaica. We see the trough still lashing portion of Central America and the clouds being sheared off from the southwest to the northeast into portion of Jamaica, eastern Cuba, section of Hispaniola, sections of Hispaniola and Puerto Rico have been getting on their fair share of rainfall. And if we load the Doppler radar images and look at those areas, we can see that rainfall, that portion of the Dominican Republic we're getting in on today. Look at that rain squall here to the east of the Dominican Republic, some isolated shores to the north of Puerto Rico, some isolated shores in and around Guadeloupe, section of Antigua and Barbuda. And if we load these Doppler radar images from earlier today, section of eastern, central, and western Puerto Rico, we're definitely getting on their fair share of moderate to some slightly heavy rainfall. Looking at the Barbados radar, we see some isolated shores coming in from the east towards Barbados. We also see some isolated shores coming in from the east towards section of Martinique, section of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Grenada, could get in on some rainfall too, and even Trinidad and Tobago later on. Regarding the weather view of Doppler radar images, as stated, we can see that rainfall on the Cayman radar right here. Definitely a lot of rainfall, to be honest. Hold on, didn't I show the Cayman radar earlier? Or did I only show the, I believe, the Guantanamo? Yep, only show the Guantanamo. But look how wet the Cayman radar is. Very interesting. Especially across western Jamaica. Still see some light rainfall taking place. We also see some rainfall right here in and around the Cayman Islands for sure. Let's see what's happening right here. We also see some rainfall affecting portions of Honduras too. And regarding where the rainfall is expected within the next 24 hours, both maps here from the Euro and the GFS are adamant that it's going to be raining across sections of the southern Bahamas, Turks and Caicos, Haiti, Dominican Republic, sections of eastern Cuba, Puerto Rico, Jamaica, the Cayman Islands, section of Belize, Guatemala, Honduras, Nicaragua, Costa Rica, Panama, section of Colombia, southern Venezuela, Guyana, Suriname, French Guiana. And we can clearly see that both the Euro and the GFS models are adamant about that. And we can also see some isolated showers in store for sections of Trinidad and Tobago, sections of Barbados, St. Vincent, sections of St. Lucia, Martinique, Dominica, Guadeloupe, getting on some isolated shower activity too. And we can clearly see that both the Euro and the GFS models are in agreement with this forecast. I know that when they're in agreement like this, the chances of it actually happening are much higher. Alright, so that's it for today. Thanks for watching.